the criminal history of King Von. Let's get into it.
King Von is one of the newer rappers in the Chicago hip-hop scene. With his hottest track, Crazy Story, doing over 30 million views on the World Star Hip Hop YouTube channel at the time of this recording, King Von is making a rather impressive name for himself in Chicago hip-hop. But what makes King Von's career even more iconic is the fact that King Von hasn't even been rapping for a year yet. He claims that the only reason he got into rapping was because he's done everything else, and not because he had some sort of knack for rapping. What King Von mainly means by that is that he's done almost everything when it comes to the streets, so all he has left to do is tell his stories and experiences through his music. Even though King Von doesn't have an extremely lengthy rap sheet like some of his peers, King Von definitely has a unique criminal history due to the outcome of some of his cases. Well, without further ado, here is an exclusive inside look at the criminal history of King Von. King Von's first run-ins with the law were not very well documented due to the fact that he was a minor at the time of his arrests. But luckily, he gave a little bit more detail of those arrests in an interview with DJ Small's Eyes. In the interview, King Von mentioned that his first arrest was for an armed robbery where apparently he robbed someone at gunpoint and stole their car. When King Von was caught, the police sent him to a juvenile detention center where the charges against him were ultimately dropped due to King Von being so young at the time. But the only way to make this deal work out was that a judge required King Von to attend a boot camp for a certain amount of time. For the other 3 arrests, King Von gave almost little to no detail, but apparently one of them was for possession of a firearm. King Von didn't say how this case ended, but we can probably assume that he was sent to a juvenile detention center and got convicted, but under a certain type of condition where it gets taken off of his record after he turns 18. King Von also mentions that he was locked up at one time for 15 months, and the time before that for 14 months. Von gave no details as of why, but it apparently happened. King Von's next arrest happened when he was only 19 years old, in 2014. According to authorities, King Von was at a party when a guy named Malcolm Stuckey was steady eyeballing him. King Von must have taken offense to this because he then grabbed his friend Michael Wade and left the party in a gray vehicle. Around 45 minutes later, King Von and Wade returned to the party, but parked in an alley near the home. The two then got out of the car with loaded guns and headed to the front of the residence. Malcolm Stuckey and 2 other people were sitting on the front porch when King Von and Wade opened fire on them. Stuckey and the other man fled down LaSalle Street, but both ended up getting shot. The other man on the porch was shot as well as he was attempting to run inside the home. In the end, 3 people were critically wounded, but Malcolm Stuckey unfortunately got shot in the head and died later that day. After the shooting, King Von and Wade ran back to their car and fled. Both of them ended up getting arrested days later. During the investigations, over 20 shell casings were recovered, and Wade even admitted to police that he had fired a gun 15 or 16 times at one of the victims. King Von, on the other hand, refused to talk to the authorities. The two were held without bond and were facing life in prison for charges of first-degree murder and 2 attempted murders. After sitting in jail for 3.5 years, the trial finally began. The trial lasted a total of 5 days, and the outcome is, honestly, surprising. Wade got sentenced to 28 years in prison, while King Von was acquitted of all charges. After 3.5 years in Cook County Jail, King Von was free. Since his release, King Von was staying out of trouble and began rapping. Von also moved to Atlanta to be around his good friend Lil Durk, who is also an extremely successful rapper. With a promising future ahead of him and all while being surrounded by many other successful people, you would think that King Von would never risk all that to commit some stupid crime. But sadly, that was not the case. Because on May 17th, 2019, King Von was arrested once again in Fulton County, Georgia. Sources say that King Von was involved in a shooting that occurred on February 5th, 2019 at the parking lot of the Varsity in downtown Atlanta. Officers apparently responded to a call at around 5:45 a.m. after gunshots were reported in the area. When they arrived, they found a 23-year-old man shot to the lower extremities. The man was found outside of his vehicle in the parking lot and was taken to Atlanta Medical Center in serious condition. Thankfully, he survived. After 3 months of investigation, police determined that King Von was the alleged shooter and eventually ended up arresting King Von moments after that conclusion was made. King Von is still locked up to this day and is being held without bond. Sources close to the situation say that the man King Von shot was attempting to rob him and that it was done in self-defense. internet detectives are speculating that King Von will get 3 years, while others say he'll get off completely for self-defense. Another large majority claim that King Von is done for. I guess only time will tell. Well, there you have it. The entire criminal history of King Von in one single YouTube video. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe as well on this channel. You dig? I'm gone.